Good morning, dear learners. Today we'll discuss about branding concepts and evolution, right? Brand. What is brand? We discussed about the product and today we'll start with brand. What is brand? A brand is could be a name. It is a name, a term, a design, symbol, or any other feature that distinguishes one seller's good or services from other sellers. That is a brand, right? What is a brand? A brand is a name. It could be a symbol, a term, a design, or any other feature that distinguishes the product of one sellers from other sellers. Right? See, what is the brand name of LG? There is a symbol that LG, right? From that symbol we can recognize that is a product of LG company, right? Apple, right? That eaten apple, it is a brand. It is a symbol of that Apple company, right? Right. So brand is a name, symbol, or a term, or a design, or any other feature that distinguishes one seller's product from the other seller. A good brand name can cut down your advertising cost, and non-alternative brand name can force you to add more money to your advertising for the same impact. See how brand impacts that. A good brand name can cut down the advertising cost, right? As we all know that the advertising cost is very high, right? If you have a good brand name, right, that can cut down the cost of advertising, or it could earn, or it could add more money to your advertising for the same impact, assuming that all other variables are maintained at the same level, right? So brand, I hope now you understand what is a brand. Brand could be a name, a term, a design, or a symbol which distinguishes the product of a one sellers from other sellers. Branding. What is a branding? Branding is a process, is a tool, a strategy, and an orientation. Right? What is branding? Branding is nothing but a process. Right? Branding is a process. Branding is a strategy. Branding is a tool. Right? Branding is an orientation. Branding is an ongoing process that helps us to build and establish a long-term symbiotic association between the marketers and the consumer in response to the changing needs and wants by the way the product offering for mutual beneficial arrangement. Understand the terms brand and branding. What is a brand? Brand is nothing but a name or symbol that distinguishes your products from other sellers' product. What is a branding? Branding is a process. It's an ongoing process. It could be a strategy or a tool or an orientation. Branding is an ongoing process. What is this process is? This process, branding is a process that establishes a long-term relationship, a symbiotic association between the marketers and the consumer, right? Branding is a process that helps to establish and build a long-term association between the marketer, that is the between the company and the consumer, right? That is how it would make a relationship in a response to changing the needs and wants by the way product is offering by mutually beneficial arrangement, right? As we all know that the needs and the wants of the consumer changes with the time, and when that product or that brand is able to change their product as per the needs and the wants of the consumer, this helps the company to maintain a relationship, a long-term relationship between marketer and the consumer. And this branding is a process of managing or maintaining long-term relationship between the consumer and the marketer in a mutual beneficial arrangement, that both should be benefited, that is the consumer as well as marketer should get benefit from that. So branding is a process, right? Branding is also viewed as an excellent and reliable promotional tool. Branding is a process that maintains a relationship between the consumer and marketer. It is also a tool, right? Why brand? How marketer? How we can say that it is a tool? It is reliable. It is excellent and reliable promotional tool for creating the mass awareness, for projecting and positioning a product in the minds of target customers. The authentic product attributes and satisfaction they could derive by adoption. So branding is what? Branding is a process, right? As well as a tool. It is a promotional tool that establishes a position, that projects and establishes a position of a product in the minds of the target customer in a way that authenticates the product attributes and satisfaction that the consumer would derive by adopting that product, right? So it is a promotional tool. Branding is a promotional tool that establishes or that positions a product in the mindset of the target audience. How the consumer will be benefited? How will you be benefited, or the consumer will be benefited by adopting that product, right? So it is a tool, and the despite of equally satisfying product in the market place, the satisfied customer with specific brand would not want or not make an attempt to spend additional efforts to evaluate the other alternative choices in the category. So it's a promotional tool, right? And thus branding helps in easy identification, right? And differentiates and stands out apart from the competitive product in the category, and thereby developing a close affinity and linkage with the target consumer group, right? So it is a process that makes a relationship, a long-term relationship between the marketer and the consumer. And branding is a promotional tool which position the product in the minds of the customer, and in the minds of the customer, and tells the customer that what type of satisfaction or they will derive, what type of this satisfaction they will derive by adopting that product. And uh, once that company or that once that product has been placed in the mind of the customer, then consumer will not prefer to buy the same product from any other brand, right? Right. So branding helps in identification and differentiation of your product from other similar product or from the competitors product, and that stands out apart from the competitive product in the category, and thereby developing a close affinity linkage with the target customer group. So branding, what branding do? Branding helps in easy identification and differentiation of the product from the competitor's product, and this branding helps the customer to understand why their product is better than their competitor's product, right? Branding comes handy to the marketer as a weapon for clear distinction of the product, more so when the product nature is such that it would be difficult to distinguish in terms of visible features, right? like in case of the services, or like in case of the product like cements, fertilizers, etc. Right? So at that time, branding plays a very important role. The branding plays a very important role, or plays a very important role for the marketer, right? Or it plays a role of a weapon for the marketer when it is difficult to distinguish the product on the basis of the attributes, right? At that terms, brand matters, right? Like in case of cements, right? It is difficult to distinguish the product on the basis of the attribute, but at that time, the brand matters. So branding act as a weapon for the marketer, right? Branding is used strategically for strategy formulation of the target group in response to the changing taste and preferences by developing and offering the customized product backed with effective communication and supported by the visuals to match and keep pace with customer lifestyle and expectations. So, as we said, that what is branding? Branding is used strategically, right? Right. It forms these strategies so that they can meet, or they can meet the changing demands of the customers, right? And should be, and the company could offer the customized product to the customers to satisfy their needs and wants, and this should be backed with the effective communication, that is through advertisements and other effective communication, and supported visuals to match, keep pace between the customer lifestyle and the expectations, right? So branding is a process, right? As we said, it is a process to establish a relationship between a long-term relationship between the marketer and the customer. Branding is a tool, right? It helps in, like, it's a promotional tool, right? It helps in creating a mass awareness, right? And for projecting and positioning a product in the minds of the customer, and it is a strategy, right? It could be a strategy, that strategy to meet the changing demands and needs of the customers. Brand creation and brand building by marketers should be a well defined and a conscious task, keeping the consumer on the top of mind, right? So that is the brand creation is, or branding or brand creation is one of the important tasks for the marketer, and that marketer should do this in with consciousness and with much efforts, and should keep the consumers on the top of the mind, right? Branding always facilitates easy and quick decision making in purchase process, right? Right? So branding plays a very important role in purchasing decision, right? Because it makes the decision quick and easy. So one should keep, while doing that branding process, or that trying to create a brand, so it is very important that you should keep your customer on the top of the mind, right? Branding also attracts the customer pull and help to retain the customer to its fold over their rivals offering for a quality and personal satisfaction, and develop loyalties for the same. That branding plays a very important role, that it attracts a new customer, as well as it helps to retain the old customers, and retaining the old customer is really difficult task, right? So your branding helps to pull the new customer as well as to retain the old customers, right? And by providing the personal satisfaction, and by providing the personal satisfaction, and through this they develop the loyalties for they develop the loyalties of the customer, right? From the marketer's angle, strong brand does help in building the strong foundation for promotion of the additional product. See, that is the as we know that Branding plays a very important role in attracting and retaining the customer, as well as from the marketer's point of view. Branding also plays a very important role in making strong foundations, building the strong foundation, because this branding helps a lot in promotion of the additional products or the new products, right? Branding policy decisions, right? There are certain policy decisions which marketer has to take while deciding about the brands or the branding, right? There are certain branding decisions. The firm has to consider factors like the target customers. Who could be our target customers, right? It is important that we should be able to target our customers, target market. What will be the target market, right? Their cultural influences on the market and the impact of brand on the business strategies, values, attitude, and the cultural aspects of the target consumers. So while you are taking the policy decision about the branding, that the marketer should keep in mind about the target customer, about the target market, the culture and the influence on the market, right? And that is the values, attitudes, and the cultural aspect of the target customers, right? The brand decisions a firm has to take are the manufacturer's name or the marketing organization or adopt a mix of two. So while you are taking a brand decision, a firm can do it in the three ways. That is, you can develop a brand on the name of the manufacturer, right? Or you can develop the brand on the basis of the distributor's brand or the marketing organization brand, or you can adopt a strategy of between the two, right? That is a manufacturer's name. The manufacturer's name means whether to have its own name on all the product, right? Or marketing organization or distributor's name, whether you want to adopt the name of the distributor you want, or you would like to adopt a mix of these two strategies, right? Like family brand name. There are the family brand name and the individual brand name. What is the family brand name? Family brand name is extending family name to the new products. Whenever new product has been introduced by the company to the market, when the new product has been introduced to the market by a company, they extend their family name to that product, like Anida, right? Anida did the like Anida specifically. The first product of the Anida was the TV. Then the Anida added a new product like washing machine with the brand name Anida, music system with the brand name Anida. This is known as the family brand name. That is the same name of the brand has been extended to every product, right? Then the individual brand name, that is practice. That individual brand name is a practice which most of the consumer products like firms like Procter and Gamble adopted for its toiletries and other personal care products. That individual brand name has been given to the product, right? And this has been adopted with this individual brand name practice has been adopted by many of the firms, right? So while you are deciding about the brand policy, you can make a brand on the name of the manufacturer. So what is manufacturer brand policy? Manufacturer has built a reputation in the market with a strong wide distribution network, right? And a sound financial resources to establish a new product in the market, then you can go with the manufacturer brand name, right? When that manufacturer has a reputation in the market, they have a strong distribution channel, strong and a wide distribution channel, and they have a sound financial position, right? So they then you can go with the manufacturers brand. That customer faith and confidence in firm is a prime factor in manufacturer deciding to the brand the product in his own name. right? Because the manufacturer name is a well-known name, and the customer has a faith in the customer has a faith in that manufacturer, or customer has faith in that name of manufacturer, right? So they can go with that. Then the company can go with that manufacturer brand policy, right? When the manufacturer market such product in his own name nationally, this is called a national brand policy, right? When the manufacturer distributes or market the products nationally with its name, then that product is known as the national brand policy. Example is Hero Motors, Raymond, Tata, Reliance, right? Like Tata or the Reliance sell up their product with their own name because they have a reputation in the market, they have a strong and the wide distribution, and their financial positions are quite sound, right? And the customer have faith. Tata Namak, Tata Steel, right? Tata car, that they market their product with their manufacturer market their product with their name, and the prerequisite for the manufacturer to market the product with the manufacturer name is that they should have a very good financial support or financial resources. They should have very strong and a wide distribution network, and they should have a reputation in the market, and customers should have faith in the manufacturer name, right? And when the manufacturer market the product in his own name, then that brand or that brand policy is known as the national brand policy. Then family branding. Family brands, as I said, what is the family brands? Family brand is when you add a new product. Whenever a company or the marketer adds a new product, they extend their brand to that product. Family brand name are generally recommended in view of high cost associated and creating a new brands, and also where recognition of corporate name along with positive association is high. So you can extend the name of the family brand name to the company when the high cost is involved in creating a new brands, right? When you feel like that for creating a new brands you have to invest much of the money, then when the high cost is involved in creating a new brand, then it's important to go with the family name. Or when another thing is when the recognition of the corporate name along with the positive association is high, right? And if you don't want to fail, right? Product can be managed quickly and at the low cost under an established brand because they can take advantage of the existing trust and knowledge of the consumer. All right. So whenever a company adds or the marketer adds a new product under the family brand name, already existing brand name, then that product can be managed quickly because consumers they are aware about that brands, and that product can take advantage of the existing trust and the knowledge of the consumer about that brand, right? And the brand building efforts and marketing cost are therefore low than the single brand strategy, right? So brand building efforts and cost, marketing cost is low in this family branding. But there are certain disadvantages of this family branding, and a major disadvantage of family branding is that the failure of a new product introduction may impact the existing family brand and create some dissonance among the existing customer. Suppose if the product fails, then it will impact the already existing product and create a dissatisfaction in the minds of the customer. So this could be one of the biggest disadvantage of extending the family brand name to the new product. Family branding is also an umbrella branding. For instance, Dove is the mother brand name used for soaps, shampoos, conditioners, face wash, and so on. Right? In order to safeguard the existing brand reputation from the repercussion of not so successful product introduction, the policy of individual brand is used by the large corporation, right? Because there could be the chances that a new product may not do well in the market, or the new product might fail in the market, then it will impact the existing product or the brand name. So to avoid this, the larger corporation, what they do is, they adopt the policy of individual branding, right? What is individual branding policy, right? That the firms individual branding policy, that the firms choosing the distinct name for each of their offering, of giving different names to each of their products, right? That is what is the individual branding policy, that the firm gives a different name, right? Name to each of their offering by giving a different name to each of their product. That is, they create a different brand for their each and every for different product. The advantage of individual name is that the strong market penetration of the product across various well-defined segmentation, and the company can try different marketing approaches without impacting the parental brand. So what is the individual brand policy? That the company gives a different brand to the different products, and the advantage of this is that they can adopt a different, or they can try the different marketing approaches or strategies without impacting the parental brand. And the advantage of individual brand name lies in the strong market penetration, right? The chief disadvantage lies in the fact that the developmental cost and the corporate efforts required developing a new market every time a new product is being conceptualized and introduced will be high. That the cost could be high whenever a new product has been introduced, or new branding efforts, that the efforts, that the cost in terms of the efforts, in terms of the time, in terms of the finances, it could be high, because every time a new product has been introduced, a company has to do that again, right? The second type of that is, we discussed about the manufacturer brand policy. Then the distributors brand policy. What is the distributor brand policy? This is an alternative to manufacturer brand policy, right? Which comes handy and are relevant in absence of the firm's strength in the market and adequate financial resources to build strong brand and competition in where the competition in industry is high. So distributor brand policy is advocate for those where there is no that when manufacturer don't have that strong that is when the financial, that when the manufacturer is not so sound, or the or that is when the when the manufacturer's brand name is not so strong in the market, or when the competition in industry is high, then it's better to go with the distributor's brand policy, right? When the competition in the industry is high, or when the manufacturer have lack of resources, financial as well as distribution resources, and when manufacturer don't have that big name in the market, right? The distributor or the marketing organization has strength in the market, customer have confidence in it, and hence his bargaining power with the manufacturer is high. And that is, in this case, the manufacturer has that the manufacturer or the marketing, or sorry, that the distributor or the marketing organization has strength in the market, they have hold in the market, and customer have confidence in that distributor, right, or the marketing agency. And so the because of this, the bargaining power of distributors could be quite high. In such a situation, it may be advisable to the market the product under the distributor's name, right? So it is beneficial to distribute the product with the distributor's name under which conditions, like when the manufacturer have constraint about the resources, financial resources, distribution resources, or when manufacturer name is not so big, or when the competition in this industry is quite high, or when the distributor or the that is the marketing organization have strength, that they have strength in the market, and the customer have faith or the confidence in them, that is in the distributors, and they, and because of this, they, the distributors or the marketing organization have the bargaining, have higher bargaining power, right? So in these conditions it is advisable that one should go with distributors brand policy rather than the manufacturer's brand policy. Right. There are certain risks associated with the distributor's brand policy. That is the first is the lose of control over the product marketing, because you are marketing your product under distributor's name, so you can lose control over the product marketing. If the product succeeds, premium may go to the distributor and not to the manufacturer, and the distributor may not extend the desired marketing support to the brand. It depends on the distributor whether they extend the support, marketing support to the brand or not. So they could or they could not. And if the product succeeds, the premium may go to the distribution and lose of control over the product marketing, right? And the third policy could be the mixed brand policy. What is the mixed brand policy? Right, this is an alternative of two, that is the manufacturer brand policy and the distributor brand policy, right? That firm to enter into a strategic alliance with a well-known marketing firm and allow it to market the product under its name in a well-defined geographic area. Manufacturer also confirmed to market the product under his own name nationally. So they can make an alliance that the manufacturer and manufacturer and the distribute, that is the distributor, they can make an alliance, they can sign up something so that the both should be get benefited from this, right? Right. So brand name, as we all know that every product in the market place is identifiable by the specific name given by the maker called the brand name. So what is brand? Understand, don't get confused. Brand name, these terms, there are small differences. What is the brand? The name, or the that is the sign or the symbol or anything through which we can recognize or through which we can distinguish our products from the others product, that is a brand, right? What is brand name, right? What is branding? Branding is a process, it is a tool, as well as it is a strategy to create a brand in the market, that is known as the branding, right? That is that is creating an image of the product, or the creating an image of the product or the services or the manufacturer in the mind of the customer, so that they could make a relationship with the customer and customer should buy their product. That is known as the branding, right? What is the brand name? That is it, that every product in the market is identified by the specific name, right? And that name is given by the maker, it is called the brand name. Thus, identifying and selecting an appropriate brand name is the first and the most crucial step in managing a brand. Everything is identified by the name in the market, and that giving and identifying and selecting an appropriate brand name is the first and the most crucial step in managing a brand. The brand could be a word, term, or a symbol that identify and distinguishes one product from the other, right? Like a word with a meaning not necessarily related to product, right? It represents, it is not required that the brand should be related to the product. At times it could not be related to the product, like for example amrutanjan balm, right? Or cherry blossom, or that is Grevia shootings, right? So it is not required that it is not always required that that word should have a meaning or should be related to the product it represents, right? The name of the manufacturer of the product, right? It could be the brand, could be the name of the manufacturer. As we said that it could be the name of the manufacturer of the product, like HMT, like Titan, like Tata, like Bata, right? Or a combination of numeric or alphabet. It could be a combination of a numeric, it could be a combination of alphabet, right? The word whose meaning suggests some functions or quality of product, right, could be a brand name, right? So brand name, how can you select, how could you select the brand? First, it could, if any name or the word or the name or the word or the symbol which suggests some function or the quality of the product, right? The quality attribute or the function of the product, then we can choose it as a brand, like Surya. Surya is what? It's a lightning, right? Directly indicates the use of the product or the function of the product. So brand could be some word or a term that has a meaning or suggests some functions or attributes or the quality or uses of that product, right? A brand name may impact the buyer's perception about the product, right? So brand name plays a very important role. Even it can impact the perception of the product, right? Brand name are often conceived and used in establishing an overall product concept, right? So whenever we are creating a brand name, it has been conceived and used in an establishing an overall product concept. Strong brand name becomes detergent companies like Surf, Nirma. Surf is a company, it's a brand name. But what we usually say, we need Surf. Surf, yeah. Surf is a Surf becomes a generic name for the detergent. Similarly, right, that is the Dalda become a generic name for the vegetable oil or a ghee. Or Tempo, while Dalda is a brand name, right? There are many other vegetable oil, sunflower, this, that, right? Tempo is a brand name, but it becomes a generic name for the mini truck, right? So at times the strong brand name becomes the generic name for the product. Xerox, it's a brand name and it's become a generic name for the photostats, right? A good name has one quality, something that stays in the producers of the product. Branding assures the buyer of some consistency and the quality standards, leading to creating a brand confidence and repeat purchases. See, while you are creating a brand, it is required that the quality and that the product should be quality, that product should follow the quality standards and should be consistent, so that it could create a confidence in the customer, so that they can make the purchases again, or so that they can repeat the purchases. It is essential and mandatory for the marketer or producer to register a brand name under the Indian Trade Name and Merchandise Act for protection and prevention of imitation, right? So what is the brand name? What is the brand name? When we select a brand name, is nothing but a symbol, a text, or a sign, or a name, right, which we give to the company or the to the product, or which we give to the product, and which distinguishes the one product from the other's product, right? And how to select a brand name, that depends. There are certain reasons that it is important that whenever you are creating a brand, that you should keep in mind the um, quality of the product. How to build a brand, right? It is very important. How can we build a brand, right? Brand building is a conscious effort and should be well planned and systematically executed. And while building a brand, you should keep the customer on the top of your mind, right? So it is a conscious effort, a well planned efforts, and should be systematically executed, right? There are the inputs For the to build a brand, that is first is identification of the key customer group or segments. It is very important that you should identify the customer or the customer group or the segment which you want to cater. That is, you should be able to target your customer. Who could be your target customer? Who will be your target customer? Identify your target customer. For the marketers, it is important to identify the market target customer. So, target customer should be identified. First important thing, right? Understanding the consumer expectations and aspirations. Second thing is important to understand the needs and wants of the customers, right? And assessing the competitive offerings, including the substitute. Assess the market, assess the offerings of your competitors or offering of the substitute product, right? Then second process is building the customer confidence. First is the input, you have to input all these things, right? First is identify your target audience or the target customers, right? Then understand the customer expectations, needs and wants, and understand or assess the competitors offerings. Then build the customer confidence. How can you build the confidence in the customer? That is through the customization of the product as per the requirement. Customize the product, establishing a key image of the brand, right? Then second is one is through establishing through customization of the product, you can create a confidence in the customer. Or second is establishing a brand, a key image of the brand, right? Second is dealer support, easy availability and the push, right? You can make a confidence through the dealer support, so that whenever required your product should be easily available, and you can push the product. Then innovative through innovative communication, that is including effective use of social media and promotion schemes, and supported by the elegant packaging. You can create a confidence through promotions. It helps us a lot, right? Through promotions, or through social medias, or through packaging, elegant packaging. At times that packaging attracts the customers. And then ensuring consumer engagement with emotional and functional value association, that you should be able to connect your product with the customer emotionally as well as functionally. How they can, how it is your responsibility, marketer's responsibility, to convey the message to the consumer, that how functionally that product is useful to the consumer. And it is responsibility of the consumer to associate that product emotional, to associate the product emotionally with the consumer. Like Tata ka namak, desh ka namak. So functionally we all need namak. We all know that we need namak. Without that salt we cannot have food, right? Without it will taste, it will not taste like, right? The taste will be not good, namak. But emotional connection is how they have connected emotionally, that how that Tata company has connected emotionally is that Tata namak is desh ka namak. They try to connect with customer through functional value association as well as emotionally, right? And output, what output we will get? We'll get the market share, right? Then the customer retention, that gaining, we will it's easy to gain new customer, but customer retention is very important. Then the output could be the customer retention, new customer attracted, and customer loyalty, increased profitability, and the brand knowledge will be the output. So branding is a process, and you could build a process, and it includes the input processes and the output. Input, you have to input certain factors, then that building that the confidence, that process you have to carry out, that you have inputted certain things, then there is a process you have to carry out. That process is known as building a confidence in the customer, and in return what the marketer will get? The marketer will get the output in terms of market share, customer retention, right? Or new customer attracted, or increased profitability, brand knowledge, and other things, right? right? So a brand image, what is brand image? Brand image is what? Image is nothing but the perception. Brand is the brand image, the perception of the brand in the minds of the customers. Image is what? Image is nothing but our perception. What we think about someone, about something. So brand image is the perception of the brand in the mind of the customer. What a customer think about that particular brand. It is an aggregate of beliefs, ideas, and impression that a customer holds regarding that brand, right? So it's the perception. Brand image is the perception in the mind of the customer, right? It is an this brand image is the aggregate or a combination of beliefs, ideas, and impressions, right? It is an idea of beliefs, ideas, impression that customer holds regarding the brand. The term brand image reflects and signifies the distinction, reputation, and goodwill as perceived by the consumer, right? So brand image, what the brand image reflects? The brand image reflects and signifies the distinction, how that brand, how the customer distinguishes your product from others brand. It signifies the distinction, it signifies the recognition or the reputation and the goodwill perceived by the consumer, right? So brand image, it's the perception of the perception about the brand, about the product in the mind of the customer, right? It reflects the distinction, goodwill, and the reputation about the brand perceived by the consumer. What the consumer think about your brand or about your product. Brand image is more has more significant role in product selection, where the choice is made on the basis of subjective criteria, where brand has a prestige image and where consumption is publicly visible. So brand image plays a very important role. There are the dimensions of brand image, like each brand has a unique blend of identity, symbolic meaning, and functional evaluation in the eyes of consumer. The totality of any brand image is made up of three types of appeals, right? So brand image is made up by the three types of the appeals. The first appeal is appeal to reason. Why should I buy this product? How product is? Why should I buy this product? How this product is different from others brand product? What benefits and the special function does it offer? Right? Thus, the first dimension is focus on the performance factor based on the feature and their evaluation. So, brand image depends on the appeal to reason. Why should I buy this product? How this product or how this brand is different from the other products or the other brands, and what type of a function that or the benefits that it offers, or this appeal to reason focuses on the performance factor, right, based on the features and their evaluation. Then a second dimension could be appeal to senses, right? That is quality and benefit of the product, right? Is appeal to senses is how it that how it could satisfy the needs and wants of the consumers, right? That is appeal to senses, right? Although it is offering that is appeal to reason is that product is offering certain type of feature which is required by the customer, but would it be as per the requirement of the customer? That is appeal to senses. Then appeal to emotions, right? Buyer would consider the social considerations, right? Like buyer would look upon the choices and how you yourself would feel owning the brand, right? So there are certain appeal to the emotions which plays a very important role, that buyer will consider the social consideration, what the people think about the buyer, about him or her when they own that brand, right? And one would consider the brand style and mood it evokes, this psychological rewards it offers, right? Then would it give this psychological satisfaction, or what type of a psychological rewards that product or that brand offers to the consumer? And all these factors are intangible in nature yet have a strong impact and impression on the customer, right? So there are the three dimensions of the brand image. First is the appeal to the reason, why should I buy that product? Appeal to the senses, how it will it be able to satisfy the needs and the wants of the consumer. Then appeal to the emotions, how will it satisfy the consumer emotionally, right? Now, brand equity, right? What is brand equity? American Marketing Association defines the brand name as a term, brand as a name, term, symbol, or design, or a combination of these used to identify the product and services of the company, right? For consumer, brand may stand for several things like product attributes, product benefits, value, cultural personality, and users, right? What is brand equity? Brand equity is the value of brand name, including its reputation and intangible value it has for consumer. Equity, what is brand equity? What is brand name? Brand name could be the name, sign, symbol, term, right? Or design or combination of this used to identify the product or services of the company. And the brand equity is the value of that brand name, how valuable that name is. It includes the reputation and intangible value it has for the consumer. How much reputation that brand name has. What is the reputation of that product or that brand name as among the customers? So it is the value of brand equity is the value of the brand name. Value of brand name means what? Value of brand name means that is the reputation of that brand or value of that brand for the customer. What, how the customer values that name or that brand. It's the influence a brand has on the customer and how much they perceive the brand to be worth, right? So brand equity is what? It is the influence of the brand on the customer, how that brand name or how that brand influences the customer and how the customer perceives that brand to be worthy, whether that brand is worth or not. Brand equity is made up of number of factors, right? Number of factors plays an important role in creating the reputation of the brand, right? So I hope this is clear to you. Brand name is what? What is brand equity? Brand equity is the value of that brand name, right, among the customer. It is the reputation of the brand name for the customer or among the customers. Brand equity is made up of number of factors, that is brand awareness, right? How familiar consumers are with their brand, right? If they are consumer with the brand, then brand equity would be high. Then the perception, what consumer thinks or feels about that brand. Then association, what consumer associates the brand with, or experiences, how consumer interacts with brand, including through its website or customer services. And loyalty, that is how loyal the consumers are to the brand. So all this plays a very important role. So brand equity is made up of many factors, that is brand awareness, brand association, perceived quality of the product, brand experiences, brand performances, and brand loyalty. All these factors are responsible for brand equity. Brand awareness, let us take everything one by one. What is brand awareness? Awareness refers to the strength of the brand's presence in the consumer's mind, right? Brand awareness is what? That is whether the consumer is aware about that product or that brand is available in the market. That is the presence of that brand in the mind of the consumer, but that product or that brand is in the mind of the consumer. right? But whether the consumer knows about that brand, right? That is the brand awareness, the brand's presence in the mind of the consumer. Awareness is measured in different ways in which consumers remember a brand, ranging from recognition to recall. So awareness, we can measure the awareness in various ways. That is, it ranges from recognition to recall, recognition to recall, right? At times, the brand recognition is so strong that it becomes a generic name from a product category, like Xerox machine. Right? Xerox is a brand, but it becomes a generic for any photostat machine, right? So this is the brand recognition, right? And brand recall is whether a consumer is able to recall about that product. So we can measure it ranging from recognition to recall. That is the brand awareness, whether the consumer is aware about that product or whether that brand is in the mind of the consumer. That is the brand awareness. Then the perceived quality, that perceived quality is overall judgment about the quality of the product, right? And the quality perception cannot be sustained unless the claims are true and substantive. And perceived quality may differ from that of technical and functional performance of the product. And perceived quality is built over a period of time. If the claims and the functional quality desired by the customer are matching, then the quality perception of the product is reinforced. So another factor of brand awareness is the perceived quality, whether the product is actually meeting the meeting the qualities claimed by the company, and if that product is meeting the needs or the wants or the qualities desired by the customers, then the quality perception of the product is reinforced, and the company may be achieving quality on dimensions that consumer do not consider important, right? So quality perceived quality could be the another reason. Consumer rely on one or the two cues that they associate with the quality. This is important to understand that little thing that they use basis of making judgment of the quality. And because consumer may not know how best to judge the quality of a metaphor or visual image, can help them to see the context clearly. So marketer also make an attempt especially to create a new product or services to educate the customer regarding the quality indicator to verify before they decide. So this is the this is the perception, what they think about the product, right? So first was the brand awareness. What is the perception, how they, whether they meet the quality, right? And then the marketer try to create a perception, they create that they try to educate the customer about their product, and this helps in brand awareness, right? Next is brand loyalty, right? It is a key consideration when placing a value on the brand. It is to be bought or sold because highly loyal customer base can be expected to generate very predictable sales and profit streams. It is less costly to retain the customer than to attract the new ones. The loyalty acts on the entry barriers of the competitors. Another is brand loyalty, right? When the customer is aware about the brand and is satisfied with the quality and other things of the product, then they become the brand loyal, right? That the then brand loyalty helps in repurchasing, right? That they could that consumer or the customer could buy repurchase that product or could purchase the another product of the same brand or the same company or the same manufacturer or the distributor, right? So brand loyalty is another factor, which dimension which plays a very important role in the brand equity. If customer is loyal and come back to the brand again and again, or if the brand is able to retain the customer, it increases the profitability, and it act as a entry barrier to the competitors, right? So how brand equity is created, right? Brand equity starts building up when the customer have higher brand awareness and the brand recognition. When they are aware about the brand and when they can recognize the brand. Having these two is just sufficient. Customers should have a strong association with brand that's too favorably and uniquely. Right? We'll continue with this in our next lecture. Till then, namaskar.